Here we are. Hello, hello. I'm so glad to see you. Oh my gosh. Sylvie, I love that you have been waiting. This makes me so happy. I'm going to put this on the screen. Yay. Oh, that's so great. I love it. Okay, we're going to chit chat for just a minute because then we're going to start the show and we're going to get rolling. We're going to talk about ending the comparison game, getting more confident. I know some of you who were part of the private training that we did on this, you've been part of this, but a very small group has gone to that training. And I thought, you know what? Let's share it with the whole world. Let's just get it out there, get her done. And here we are. So I'm so glad that you're here. Say hello. Remember to say hi in the comments. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I'm just saying all this to stall while we're waiting, but I still want you to subscribe. All right. So subscribe. Okay. All right. Good. I think we are ready to go. We are on time. Hey, Julie. Good to see you. All right. Whoop, whoop. Oh, come on in. Say hi in the comments. I would love to hear who's here. And if you want, tell me about your business. I'd like to hear what you're up to, all that good stuff. I think you're going to really like today's show. I can hardly wait to get started. So with that, let's get this party started. All right. Hello, hello, and welcome to the show. You are listening to Positive Mindset for Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Dana Wild. This is the show where you discover how to make money by being happy and get paid to be you. If you want to know how that works, if you want to understand how brain training works, then definitely you're going to want to check out the 60-second workshop where I tell you everything you need to know about brain training in 60 seconds. You can find that link in the show notes. So check it out there. Today, we are going to talk about ending the comparison game. So maybe you have had that experience. I hope I'm not the only one where you go online and you see what other people are doing and you feel, oh, so small. And you feel like, oh man, how am I going to ever make it online? How am I ever going to grow my business? And you kind of get that feeling of comparing yourself to what others are doing. Well, I've got 12 awesome tips for you. We are going to go through them David Letterman style. And one by one, we're going to start out with tips that maybe are more common that you've heard before. But as we get to number one, you're going to see that they're going to get increasingly, I'm just going to call them Danified or brain trainingified. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And I can't wait to chat. Remember to subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you a part of the sandbox all the time. And when you subscribe, you hear when the latest video is released. So let me start out by asking, have you ever had that experience? Like I said, I really hope I'm not the only one where you get online and you go like, we all like to think that we want to feel 100% or be our best selves all the time. We want to walk around like, oh, I'm so happy for everybody. And I'm so centered and so present in my own life. But if you're like me, then you do sometimes have that experience. You have that experience where you're like, man, I wish I was doing as well as they were, or feelings like that, feelings of feeling like you're a small little peanut in the whole big peanut gallery of the internet, right? So let's talk about how to solve this. And I'm going to do it backwards, David Letterman style. And we're going to start out with some kind of more common psychology-based advice, but it's still good advice. It's advice maybe you've heard other places, but I think you'll like it and you'll benefit from it. And it's nice to have the reminder. So coming in number 12, because we're going backwards, like David Letterman, focus for number 12, focus on your strengths. So the idea, and this is advice almost anybody will give you, is when you're out there and you see somebody else who's doing something, don't concern yourself with them so much, but focus on your own strengths. Focus on the things that you do well and the things that make you unique. Terrific advice, right? Number 11, be happy for others. Be happy for people who are out there having success. We get that kind of message, and I'm going to use the shouldn't word which we don't really like to use so much in the Train Your Brain Sandbox, but you hear people say, oh, you shouldn't be jealous. You should be happy for others. And of course, we agree. When we are feeling good and we're our best selves, we're like, yes, I know I should be happy for everybody's success. Who can disagree with that advice? Not us. So then coming in at number 10, tell me if you've heard this one before. If you've heard this one before, say I have in the comments. Are you ready? Only compete with yourself. Focus on improving yourself. Compare your past self to your present self. See how far you've come. And again, of course, this is good advice. All of this is good advice. And the reason I'm going through it so quickly is because we have heard this before. We've heard it again and again. And, I don't think we need to spend much time on it. It's included because all of these things would be wonderful. We'd like to act from that place, wouldn't we? Right? Yes. Thank you for people who are commenting. I love it. That's exactly right. Of course, we want to compete with ourselves or see how far we've come. Now, the next one, and I know I like this one in theory, and I've got a few tricks for using this one. It comes in at number 9. And number 9 is be inspired by others. So it's going kind of beyond that, be happy for others and actually claim what you see that they're doing for yourself. And I've got a really good trick for that. And I got this trick from a woman named Jana Dana. Isn't that funny? Her last name is the same as my first name, Jana Dana. And Jana Dana used to do this all the time. And I picked it up and I was like, I'm on that. What you do when you see somebody who has achieved something that you want is you say, I call dibs. I call dibs on that. Now, here's the thing. That's a very American phrase. I call dibs. And I'm sure that there is a version. I know it for a fact. I just don't remember what they are. There are versions in like the UK, Australia, Canada has even got their own version. They're all over different versions. And here's what I call dibs means. If you've ever had a big piece of pizza and you get down to the last piece of pizza and you say, I call dibs on that piece of pizza. That's how you use I call dibs. So if you're listening in from a different country and you have a different version for that, I think Bagsy, is that the one? I call Bagsies. I think that might be the Australian version. Correct me if I'm wrong if you're from Australia. Anyway, when you see something that somebody wants or somebody has, rather than being jealous of it, get inspired by it and say, I call dibs on that. I call dibs, I call dibs, I call dibs, or whatever the version is in your country. Remember when you were a little kid and you go in the car and you had other brothers and sisters to compete with? If that was your circumstance, you'd be like, I call dibs on the front seat. It's like that, except in grown-up style. All right. So I call dibs on that. Celebrate your wins. It makes it so much easier when you see that they are doing it and you say, if it's possible for them, then it's possible for me. It's so much easier for you to feel like you can actually have it when you see that somebody else has achieved it. Okay. Next up in spot number 8. Get ready for it. All of this is good advice when you're feeling good. Right? When you're feeling good and you're your happy self, it's easy to go out there and go, oh, I'm inspired by that. I call dibs. But when you're feeling discouraged, when you're already kind of feeling bad about your business or feeling bad about your results, you don't really feel like going out and being happy for other people, right? So many of us are using social media as a way to bring ourselves up. So we're having a bad day and we're feeling like, oh man, I don't know, maybe I'll go on and scroll and see if something here lights me up or makes me happy. Well, so when we do that, we're maybe not in the most emotionally centered place to be seeing the things that light us up. And in fact, we're more likely to get that hit of jealousy or comparison or feeling small or whatever when we're already kind of in that mood. So in spot number 8, the tip is don't go online when you're not emotionally centered. Be proactive. So rather than being reactive after you've already felt bad, be proactive and go online when you're already feeling emotionally centered. So when you do that, you have the less likelihood of being in that emotional state and being, I don't know, we'll use the word triggered, I guess, since it's such a popular word these days, but you have less likely to have that experience. All right. In number 7, when you see somebody who's having some major results, remind yourself that you don't know the whole story behind those results. And you don't. Like, obviously, we get it that there are filters on people's cameras, but we don't know when somebody says, "Oh, I just made $1 million on this." We don't know if they spent 1.1 million on Facebook ads. We don't know how their lives are unfolding. We don't know their current situation. We don't know their history. We don't know if they're working 18 hours a day. When we look at that and compare ourselves to them and say, "Oh, I want that." Well, we don't know if we want that whole package. We don't know what their lives are like. So remind yourself that you don't know the whole story of their life when you get in that situation, okay? And this one, tag teams on it. Number 6, you're going to love this one. This is one of my favorite ones. And I'm going to give you the location to get this book for free if you like. So this is a prayer by someone named Harry Palmer, and it comes from his book, Resurfacing Techniques for Exploring Consciousness. If you make a post in the link in the comments, something like "I want the book," or just put Harry in the comments or something like that, the lovely Rose will get you the direct link so that you can get this book and read it for free, which is my favorite price. All right. But this is called the compassion exercise. And I just think this is brilliant. I'm going to actually read it to you. The idea behind the compassion exercise is that you are supposed to kind of play with this or test this out just, sitting on a subway or sitting in a restaurant looking at other people. And then after you do it with just kind of average people that you have no emotional attachment to, you can start to use it on people you know. You can start to use it in all sorts of different situations, including when you see somebody who looks like they got their poop in a group. You know who I mean. You're out on the internet and you're like, "Oh man, that one has got it all together and they're making money and their business is rocking and they've sure got it together and I don't." This is what you can say. So this is what's called the compassion exercise from Harry Palmer. And again, if you put a comment saying "book link, please," or Harry or something like that, the lovely Rose will get you the link where you can read this book for free. So what you do is you focus your attention on this person that you're feeling comparing yourself to, and you say these words to yourself: "Just like me, this person is seeking some happiness in his or her life. Just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in their life. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. Just like me, this person is learning about life." Like, just saying that, don't you just feel more compassion? Doesn't it feel good? And doesn't it really tap in to who we want to be in the world? Don't we want to be more understanding and more compassionate and knowing, like, all of us are out here just doing our best, just banging around trying to figure it out, and none of us have the answers. And that person that you're feeling that comparison to, they've got bad days and they've got days where they're online and they're comparing themselves to other people, and days where they're feeling small and they're having their own challenges to deal with. And so when you tap into compassion, when you tap into that compassion and kindness, it just feels so much better than jealousy and comparison. Like, it really, I just think this prayer, I guess it's a prayer or an exercise, I'm not sure what you would call it, but it's so beautiful because it helps us feel that emotional centered place of who we really want to be in the world, right? So that was number 6. Coming in at number 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Don't just, I don't know why I cracked myself up. Ready? Number 5. Don't just be emotionally centered when you're online. Be fired up when you're online. So imagine if every time you went online, before you went online, you were fired up about your business. You were feeling good about your business. And the easiest way I know to do this is to start a daily habit. I might even call it an hourly habit, to be honest, where you are counting your wins all the time. I learned this method back when I was building my first business, and it was a direct sales business, and it went from zero to $1 million in 19 months. And I didn't know what I was doing at all, really, except for I was really good at training my brain. And one of the daily habits I had was I was only focused on what was going right. So I was always counting my wins. So I was always thinking things like, oh, I talked to Susie and she's interested in the business. And oh, someone placed an online order today. And oh, I learned something today from the training manual and I think I'm going to implement it. So it was this constant thing in my mind of a list of wins that were happening. So in your world today, you can just think, starting right now, you can say like, hey, I watched this awesome video from Dana Wild. That would be your first win. And then you can say, oh, gosh, guess what? I learned a method on Instagram. Oh, someone made a comment on my Facebook live stream. Like, just start thinking of those wins over and over again. Because what happens when you make it your habit to think of those wins all the time, and you are consistently in that mindset space where you're always thinking of those wins, what happens is that it starts to become your reality, because whatever you're thinking about is your reality. And when you hear about somebody else's success, somebody comes up and says, hey, I got this great thing that happened in my business. You're really genuinely happy for them. And you're genuinely happy for them because you're going, hey, guess what? I've got this wonderful thing going on, and you've got your list of wins that are going on. So it's a fantastic habit to get into. Put up Post-it notes around your house to say count your wins, or put something up to remind you to count your wins, and pretty soon you'll just see that it's on automatic pilot. So that's number 5. Number 4, understand positive emotional momentum. Understand the emotional scale. Now, if you want a copy of the emotional scale, you can find the link in the show notes. If you make a comment, emotional scale, Rose would be happy to give you the direct link. And you can download it. You can even print it out if you want. But the basic concept is that when you are feeling fearful, or you're feeling angry, or you're feeling depressed, or powerless, or worried, or disappointed, or all those things, and if you are trying to think about your business, you are going to be more likely to be thinking other thoughts that are in that same area. So when we understand this idea of counting our wins and being fired up and being emotionally centered and minding our emotional state, like, this is the core of brain training. This is the superpower of brain trainers, and that is awareness, being mindful of our thoughts and being mindful of our emotional state. When you really start to understand your emotional state and you start to leverage emotional momentum, number 4, understand emotional momentum, then you can leverage emotional momentum. What happens is you start to understand that you can juice up your emotions and you can feel better really quickly just with your thoughts. So no matter how you're feeling, if you start to just say little sentences to yourself with the intention of shifting yourself emotionally, you start to feel better and better. And you can start just in neutral with kind of generic statements like, oh, I like being a brain trainer and this is interesting. And Dana's saying about awareness and I could maybe buy into that. I like the idea of being more aware, and I'd like to understand my emotions, and I'd like to be more aware of what I'm doing. And I'm open to thinking better thoughts. And I like the idea of thinking better thoughts. And it's nice to think that I could focus on a thought and I could feel better. And it's fun to think that the more I think positive thoughts, the easier it is. And I can notice already, even with a few sentences, I'm starting to feel better. So I'm starting to understand how this works. And I like that I can think a positive thought and I can generate a positive feeling. And it doesn't even have to be a super positive thought. It can just be a little bit a little bit positive. And I like that I can just feel the lift already, even just by saying, I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to juice it up. I'm already noticing I'm starting to feel better and I'm feeling good. And I'm figuring it out. And, I'm out here and I'm banging around and I am figuring it out and I'm doing things and I like my business and I love my clients. And I'm so happy that I'm an entrepreneur and it feels so good to be self-employed. And I love the freedom of my business and I love having a dream and I love building it. I love building my dream. I love the idea that the world is my oyster and has unlimited potential. And it's so fun to know that I can figure it out. I can figure out this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece. And I love putting it together and I like getting myself in a good feeling space because when I've got positive momentum, I do feel like taking action and I feel better and better and I can see where I get better results. And I love that my reticular activating system is seeing all the good opportunities when I'm feeling good. And it's so easy to feel good. Look at how fast I just did that. Like literally 60 to 90 seconds will start getting you there. And then just like when you're feeling fearful, and it's easier to attract a fearful thought, when you start getting in those high emotional places and you start speaking the good feeling thoughts, the good feeling sentences, in 60 to 90 seconds, you start finding it easier and easier and easier and easier to get another good feeling thought. So number 4, really understand how emotional momentum works, right? Okay, I love it. Do you love it? Do you love it? Remember to like and subscribe and remember to give me an oh hell yeah in the comments. A little bit of external validation, please. That would really help. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your participation. I'm glad you're here. All right, number 3. Coming in at number 3, when you're out online, we're getting into Danified territory here now. Ready? When you're out online and you see that person that you feel, jealous of or small compared to, or feeling a little down when you see their business, imagine that they are just a big blown up 5-year-old. So imagine seeing them as a 5-year-old and look at them and think like you were their parent and they were 5 years old and how they would be looking for your praise and looking for you to give them a compliment and really just feel that kind of parently, is that a word? I'm going to make it a word. That parent-like warmth and love and praise for that person. Just think about saying like, yeah, you're doing okay and good for you. You're out here and you're learning and you're doing your best. See them as their 5-year-old self, all of their hopes and dreams that they had as little kids growing up, and that you are the parent praising them. Who doesn't love praise, right? Who doesn't love to feel good? And it feels good not only to receive praise, but also to give it. So use that method. This next method, I'm a little embarrassed to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway, because far be it from me to not be completely shameless. So way back in the day, this is number 2, way back in the day when I was doing telesummits. They were actually telesummits. There wasn't even video. Like imagine that. We just did it with phones. People would call in on the phone and listen to interviews. So I was in the direct sales industry. And actually, I just left the direct sales industry and I was interviewing all these direct sales experts, mostly direct sales speakers. That's how many of the people were making money as direct sales experts at that time. They were getting speaking engagements for direct sales companies. And for those of you that don't know how summits work, a summit is where you get a bunch of people who are experts in the same niche, and then you interview them and you promote to your audience. So I was getting 24 experts together who were all direct sales in the direct sales niche, and I was interviewing them and promoting them. So lo and behold, every season that I would do this, I think I did 6 seasons of the show. Every season, without fail, somebody would say to me, Dana, why are you promoting your competition? Why are you out there promoting your competition? And it was so foreign to me. Like I really couldn't wrap my head around it. I didn't really get it, like that these people were my competition. And then it hit me why. And this is the part that's embarrassing, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It hit me that I was feeling like Oprah. Like I was the Oprah, the interviewer, and I was interviewing these people like Oprah was interviewing people. And so I was like, okay, I'm just like the Oprah of the direct sales industry. I'm going to interview these people and think about it. Do you think Oprah is sitting around going, I better worry about so and so because they're gonna steal my business? You know, Oprah doesn't think there's any competition because she's Oprah, right? And so think about the biggest person in your niche. The biggest person in your niche is not sitting around looking at other people going, oh man, I better not promote these people because they're going to steal my business. Like it's so obvious that this is a mindset. When you feel like you have arrived, when you feel successful, when you feel like you're at the top of your game and the top of your industry, you don't look around at other people and go, oh, I'm worried about them, I'm worried about that competition. No, Oprah's like, there's plenty of crumbs for everybody in Oprah's world. She can just walk into a room and make somebody successful, right? So think about the difference between going online feeling like Oprah, or if you're in the self-development field, maybe it's like a Wayne Dyer feeling, or you're going on, who's that Jillian, who's the exercise guru? I don't know why I never remember her last name, but if you're going online in the mindset of the biggest person in your niche, whoever that is, you're not looking at other people and comparing yourself, and you're not competing because you're in that mindset. And think how good it is for you to be in that mindset. Think of how good that feels. So that comes in at number 2. All right, number 1. Here it is. So I want you to do this actually right now. Since we're talking about big people in the niche, and in your niche, the people that you like and the people that maybe you're not so fond of, but they still have a really big business. So if you are online and you see that person who maybe sometimes gets under your skin, or sometimes kind of the one that goes like, oh, that's the one that, let's use that word, triggers again, like gets those jealous emotions going or those annoyed emotions going. Take a moment right now. It should be pretty easy for you to think of it because you know who they are. That person that you see all the time that goes like, man, why do they got 5 million followers, right? Whatever it is. Think about that person for just a minute. Imagine them in your mind. You're going to like this method. This is why it's number 1. Are you ready? So now really, you can close your eyes if you want to and think about that person saying, oh my gosh, I love, and put your name in. So imagine I see somebody, imagine we don't follow any of this advice. We go online when we're not centered. We see that person and go like, oh man, I feel so small to them. Now I see them and I imagine them in my mind going, I love Dana Wild. Oh, Dana Wild's the best. Dana Wild's so great. Oh yes, you got to go follow Dana Wild. Go get her stuff. Go see her. Now think of how powerful this is for your brain. Think of how powerful it is that every time when you see that person who you would normally feel jealous of or weird about or whatever, imagine how good it feels instead to now feel like, oh my gosh, I'm imagining them promoting my business. I'm imagining them going out in the world and saying how much they love me. And think of how good that feels. I don't know if you ever had this experience, but I remember in my early 20s when I was first going through kind of my personal development phase, I had the realization that if I didn't like somebody, that it totally changed if I found out they really liked me. Like, isn't that strange? And I don't know what caused that. Maybe that's unique to me or it's unique to a certain segment of people. But I remember clearly in my early 20s thinking, it's funny how if I knew somebody really, really liked me, it was so much easier for me to like them. So when you're training your brain in this way, imagining that person that you used to be jealous of or that you used to be competing with or whatever it was, and imagining them in love with you, in love with your work, wanting to promote your work, saying, screaming at the top of their lungs, oh my gosh, I love, and imagine it in your mind, them saying your name. I love insert your name here. I love I love insert your name here. And think of how good that feels and think about the reality you're creating. You are imagining, and if you get this feeling multiple times a day, oh my gosh, now you got 4 or 5 or 6 people out there that you're imagining promoting your business. Your brain does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. Isn't that cool? Your unconscious mind does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So when you imagine that, every single time your brain thinks that really happened, it thinks it's real. And so it will match it up again and again and again. The reticular activating system gets busy going, oh, this is real. All these big names are out there promoting me. Oh my gosh, it's so great. And it matches that up. So that is number one. Yay. So I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to end on a note where I let you know that remember, above all else, everything we've said here, and I know I put these in order where it's like number one is imagine that person saying how much they love you. But I want to remind you that everything is easier when you feel good. Everything is easier when you're training your brain. Everything is easier when you have positive emotional momentum. So be kind to yourself and say nice things to yourself and give yourself a break when you have a down day. And sometimes you just need to take a nap, and that's okay. Sometimes you're a little hungry, go eat something. Sometimes you know, like, okay, I need to just relax and watch some cat videos, or I need to go outside and go for a walk. Whatever it is, be kind to yourself. We're all out here doing the best that we can. We're all out here banging around and trying to figure it out. And so if you're having an off day, it's not the end of the world. There's always the next day. But know that when you focus on positive emotional momentum, when you focus on feeling good, when you focus acting at your highest self, when you focus on being aware, it gets easier and easier and easier. So start that little mantra for yourself that sounds like, I'm getting better and better and better at this. I'm getting better and better and better and better at this. I'm getting better and better at this. It's getting easier and easier. I'm feeling better and better. I'm so happy. I'm getting better and better and better at this. It feels so good to get better and better and better at this. And you've totally got this. See you soon, everybody. Bye.